Washingtonian, a proud resident of Ward 7, and a member of the Board of Directors of Washington Interfaith Network. WIN is a nonpartisan network of faith institutions and neighborhood leaders across all 8 wards in the district. We organize to build people power, to work and hold our elected officials and corporate players accountable in order to create a more just and equitable DC. Today we stand together to urge the mayor and DC Council to go back to the drawing board with this budget. We organize around affordable housing, climate, public housing, and affordable Black home ownership and public safety. We do not live single issue lives. Affordable housing, Black home ownership, and safe communities are all tied together. Just as our lives are not single issue, neither should this budget be. One line in the budget can have a massive impact on affordability, climate, and public safety. The proposed budget as it stands does not reflect our values, and it does not seize what we see as a once-in-a-generational opportunity to capture local and federal funds and invest in all of our residents in all 8 wards. The proposed budget sets DC back on key issues of public housing, public safety, and climate. There is no mention in the budget of climate. Why does this matter? Because even though we no longer have an extra federal funding from COVID, we now have a once in a generation investment from the Inflation Reduction Act around funding for climate that can be directed onto single family homes, multifamily buildings, and public housing. There is no vision of how we can take advantage of federal funding that would allow low to moderate income households and public housing residents to retrofit their homes and realize the health and economic benefits of electrification. And in a crisis of public safety, we still see underfunded violence interruption programs, victim support services, and mental health supports that is desperately needed for our youth. It also overrides the DC Council's agreement to remove SORs from schools in order to ensure our children feel safe and supported, not monitored and tracked. The proposed budget also makes dramatic investments to revitalize the downtown corridor. We understand this is a key to the financial health of the district, and we support the revitalization of downtown and the conversion of vacant office buildings to mixed income housing. But what we cannot stand by is the fact that the investment has strings attached. It supports TOPA rights for 15 years, lowers requirements for affordable housing, and lowers the requirement for first source and local housing. We encourage development, but not at the expansion of our most vulnerable residents. We need a bold budget, and we also need a moral budget that invests in all of DC's people.
My name is Rabbi Aaron Alexander. I'm a co-senior rabbi at Addis Israel Congregation in Ward 3. And as Ryan just said, we need a bold budget, a budget for every Washingtonian that invests in all of our people. As a rabbi in Ward 3, we stand with our sisters and brothers here today in Ward 7, and we say that we need a budget for all that radically invests in public safety, public housing, and Black home ownership. Just as we do not live single-issue lives, as people, as humans, as DC residents, we are all connected. And what matters to our communities east of the river, those things matter to our communities in Upper Northwest as well. As a rabbi, I sit on the precipice of the most observed Jewish holiday across the world in our calendar, Passover. It is a holiday in which we gather and tell the story of the ancient Israelite oppression underneath the bludgeon of the ancient Egyptians. Egypt lived up to its name, a place of compression, a place of narrowness, by living and giving in to fear, to the idea that there's never enough for everybody, and therefore somebody must suffer in order for others to be lifted up. That's not the story that we ought to reenact today in Washington. We tell another part of the story, the impossible part, the part in which a divine presence lands and sits on the side of the vulnerable, fiercely against Egypt, the oppressor. Because, as Audre Lorde says, I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own. In almost all of the issues we have named, we see climate funding as part of the answer. District residents deserve healthy homes and livable communities. The DC Council can fulfill a vision of healthier homes and livable communities by using federal and local dollars to strengthen strong black neighborhoods in Wards 7 and 8 by helping existing homeowners repair and renovate their homes and to prepare communities for the next generation of Washingtonians. We can invest in transforming vacant and blighted homes into opportunities for new inventory for middle-income Washingtonians who are ready to purchase now. We must prioritize funding to electrify affordable housing, to ensure our neighbors in public housing have safe, healthy, and dignified communities to call home. Let us create real mixed-income affordable housing and opportunities for the middle class in all corners of DC. We must ensure our children have mental health access through sustainable pipelines to social workers and therapists and funding for programs to interrupt the cycle of violence in our neighborhoods. Now we're going to hear from some of our WIN leaders from right here in Deanwood. Charlene Pierce, thank you for encouraging us to camp out on your lawn this morning.
Thank you, Rabbi Alexander. My name is Charlene Pierce, and I am a Ward 7 resident, and I have been in this neighborhood for more than 40 years. This is my home. I raised my son here, and this home is now a safe place for my granddaughter to come and visit. And I love my neighborhood. And this press conference was my idea because you see this home next to me? It is a vacant home, and it has been vacant for more than 10 years. 10 years. I have been so frustrated living next to this house. My neighbors and I called 311 numerous times. We have called the council member numerous times, and the mayor, and nothing has changed. And something has to change. This house is deteriorating. Look at these trees. If they fall, where are they going to fall? Not only am I worried about overgrown trees and grass, I also worry about the fact that this home has been broken into numerous times, and squatters have lived here for months at a time. I have experienced people running across my roof in the middle of the night, running from the police. This vacant home is also a community safety issue. Many times I don't feel safe. And what I want to raise today is that this isn't only the vacant home in my neighborhood. Our organizing team walked around the neighborhood and charted more than 20 vacant homes just in our 4-block radius. Across the district, there are over 3,000 vacant and blighted single homes. I want something to change. We want to see money in the budget to purchase these vacant homes so they aren't sitting blighted or bought up by investors or worse, corporations. We want the district to run a pilot program right here in Deanwood. We want to see money in the budget to purchase these vacant homes in Deanwood, to buy some of these homes and give them to a mission-driven development group or groups, to renovate them and sell them to middle-income families. Every day I pray for good neighbors. I want these vacants to become opportunities for people like me to become first-time homeowners. and raise their families. Honorable Mayor Bowser and DC Council, our district can turn this vision into a reality. Now we will hear from Ms. Paula Duncan. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ms. Duncan. I am a DC resident of Ward 7. I've been here for about 70 years. I live around the corner here in Deanwood. I'm here to address issues that I've checked with my neighbors as well as me. And we have issues with trees growing up, the roots growing up into our yards and wrapping around the fixtures here in the house, and it's causing us to have flooding from one house to another, and we need that addressed. We also have floorboards in our houses that need to be addressed, the flooring. We need different things. Let me see what else. Pretty much the issue of the trees growing up through the yards and destroying our houses that way. We have a great big tree right there on Division Avenue, and it's really giving the neighbors a real big headache. And so, let me see what else is there. Pretty much that's about it. Like I said, we need gutters in our homes, and I've called to try to get that done to my house, but I was put on hold and I did not get anything done as far as that was concerned. So I need to speak with someone in the government who can help us do things that we need done in our houses. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Tanisha. I'm a volunteer at the Better Way program. I've been volunteering there for about a year now, just down the road. My house means a lot to me. I inherited from my aunt, and it was left to me by my mom. I love this house, and I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to live in it safely. I've been around Deanwood for about 20 years visiting my aunt, but I've actually moved into the house the last 2 years that I've actually been there myself. And over those past 2 years, I've dealt with a lot of challenge after challenge when it comes to like the repairs on the house. The floor in my dressing room is sinking. I started fixing on the house before I was in a really bad car crash where I broke my leg, and 2 places that I broke my ribs, and I have metal in my leg and I have metal in my chest. So it's really hard for me to get around the house and actually do the repairs for myself, and I haven't been working, so that's a major to actually get someone to come fund it. But the floor is sinking in and it's collapsed on me. The back room of mine has actually collapsed. I'm not sure how it collapsed, but hey, it's an old house. My grandfather bought it in '95, and he would get repairs on it, and he repaired it enough for my aunt to live in, but she was living in it and just let it go. Whatever. But the laundry room has holes in it from the floor. My kitchen has a little bit of holes that are going to get bigger. They're not bad, but they're getting bad. It's just me looking at them and watching it deteriorate. It hurts. I feel that's how I feel about a lot of issues in my home. If they don't get fixed soon, it's just going to become a bigger problem. That's all. Several months ago, I said I was in a car crash, so my mobility is not really good. If we had the funding, I would be ready for the people to come in and begin fixing on my home. We need the city to find a budget to protect and invest in black homeowners that are funding, but much needed repairs. I'm the next generation of black homeowners in my family, but it's not safe for me or my family. I have nieces and nephews that come over, and they're pretty young, so it's not good for them to be in there. I'm always constantly watching them, and we must preserve what folks have. We must preserve what folks have for the next generations to come, so we can also benefit. I don't want no pity. I just want repairs in my home. The land and value, taxes, they went up in my community, and I just want to stay here, and the game is rigged. We need to change it so that in the future we can live safely and just build generational wealth. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Janet Phoenix. I'm a physician by training, and I manage asthma and healthy homes programs for YAHAD. YAHAD is an organization that's been working for 30 years with many homeowners like the ones who've been speaking to you this morning. YAHAD offers free home repairs for families like the ones who've been speaking to you this morning. The word YAHAD means together, and together we really need to address some of these issues that nonprofits have been working to try to fill gaps that have been left by city programs and city priorities. We are fortunate that the mayor has expressed as a priority really helping black homeowners to remain in their homes and helping families to purchase homes who have been living in rental housing in the past. But without really robust efforts to address gaps in these programs and services, these wishes, these priorities will not come to fruition. What really needs to happen is that there need to be resources made available so that nonprofit organizations that really understand the issues and work closely with families who need the services can help them to navigate what is a very cumbersome and slow application process. So there are 3 agencies that really provide services for families like the ones you've been hearing from this morning. The Department of Housing and Community Development has the Housing Preservation Trust Fund, which has been the mechanism by which the city has been investing its own dollars and occasionally federal dollars into affordable home ownership. But that program has a single line item program called the Single Family Residential Repair Program, and that's the only place where homeowners can go to get assistance with issues like the ones that have been described today. Getting their roofs repaired, getting leaks addressed, dealing with the tree root problem. Those funds really have dried up in recent years, and the funds that have been allocated haven't been used, in part because there are contractor issues. Contractors have difficulty dealing with the city and have the same issues navigating the programs to make bids, to be able to do work on homes, the same kinds of issues that families face when they navigate to try to place an application in to get these resources to address problems in their homes. So we need to improve the capacity for housing remediation in the city. And that's going to mean some cooperation across agencies like the Department of Housing and Community Development and the District of Columbia Department of Energy and the Environment, which manages and administers programs like weatherization and LIHEAP and lead hazard reduction. Homeowners really need to be able to place one application and not have to jump across several agencies to be able to get the services that they need. 311 does not connect you seamlessly to all of the agencies and doesn't help you navigate the application process. And so what happens is that people put an application in and then wait years before they receive benefits. And some people have passed away waiting to get their roofs repaired from the single-family residential repair program that is administered by the Department of Housing and Community Development, and that should not happen. So we really need to use local dollars more efficiently. We need to involve the nonprofit community, which knows people best and who are trusted by families like the ones you've been hearing today. Use a block grant approach. Let them navigate, help families navigate the application process, let them deal with the contractors so that the contractors don't have to be faced with cumbersome administrative burden in trying to bid on contracts for work that's really needed, and so that families don't have to wait for years and sometimes pass away waiting before they get the services that they need. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Lorenzo Green. I'm an Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner here in Single Member District 7C04. I'm one of 4 Advisory Neighborhood Commissioners that represent the Deanwood community. We are a 7,000 and counting strong community, a growing community, and this is one of our most historic issues that we continue to face to this very day. the infrastructure of our entire neighborhood. Homes that are not able to stand the test of time without the right investment coming from the city to support people who have been holding down the fort for so many years now, who invested in this city to make the city the best place to live. And all we ask in return is for some investment in our community that allow our residents to be able to stay in their homes, be able to age in place, and see a program like Safe at Home or the District Opportunity to Purchase Act, see these programs actually right-sized for a community like ours. You know, it's one thing as our neighbors speak about the trees that are growing in from a neighbor's yard into our yard and disrupting the foundations of our home. You just go down a block, we've been having sinkhole issues at the brick homes on Sheriff Road and Just Street and J Street, the homes that were formerly owned by the Slack brothers. Issue that the city is fully aware of. They know the issues about sinkholes that have been popping up in our community, but we have not seen any initiative from the council or our council member's office to try to address this problem. We talk about black home ownership, but we never talk about how we keep black folks in their homes. It seems like it's a conversation that people are scared to have in this city. How to keep black folks in their homes. Keep our seasoned citizens in their homes, right? A Safe at Home program that actually fixed your roof, fixed your flooring, right? And actually address the infrastructure issues that you didn't know about when you first bought your home many years ago. Things you weren't told about when you applied for the HPAC program, right? And then you get into a home and find out like, oh wow, there's some things here that I need a little more support on. And that's what we're demanding from the city. Not just continuing this conversation and kicking the ball down the road for more years, more decades. I don't know if folks are just waiting for the neighborhood to change some more before they dump some money over here. But I know one thing. Deanwood is a vibrant, strong, self-sufficient, you know, it's part of our history, but we're fighters. And we fight for every single thing that we get, right? So we demand that the mayor, Madam Mayor, and this council to really put black home ownership at the forefront of this budget. Invest in our communities so that we're able to stay here and raise our families so they can carry on our legacies, carry on our properties for a new generation, instead of being put into a position where they got to sell their property just to survive. That has to stop, and I'm here in full support of my neighbors. I'm glad to have my former colleague, Dr. Mary Gaffney, here. Just want to acknowledge her to show that, you know, this just isn't a Deanwood issue, it's a Northeast boundary issue, it's a Hillbrook issue, you know, it's a Burrville issue. We all have the issues over here in this entire far northeast area of Washington, D.C., right? Far northeast, remember that. We're at the edge of the city. We're at the edge of the city, and we're still here fighting for our fair share. So I thank everyone for being here, and I hope that we get the change that we see.
I didn't plan on coming after something so profound. Good morning. My name is Bill Lamar. I'm the pastor of the Metropolitan AME Church in Washington, D.C. I want to begin by saying this is Holy Week for those of us in the Christian tradition. The time when we reflect on the suffering of Jesus. I want to be very clear that it was the empire that signed the warrant for his arrest, and it was the empire that crucified him. And I want us also to be clear that while many have read the text anti-Semitically, really what the gospel writers were trying to convey is that religious leaders can collude with the powerful to destroy God's people. And one of the things that concerns me is in my living and working in this city, there are other neighborhoods who make phone calls about roots growing up and it gets addressed. There are other neighborhoods who have issues around sinkholes and around vacancies and it gets addressed. I want to be clear that some of what we are seeing is because the people here are not heard, are often rendered invisible, but this coalition that you see of black and white, of queer and straight, of Christian and Jewish and persons of no particular faith, These are our neighbors. These are our siblings, and there is no separation between us or among us. That we are here to make sure that our neighbors are not crucified on crosses of government incrementalism. That they are not crucified on crosses of wait, we'll be there when we get there. That they are not crucified on racialized crosses because they are black, and as my colleague said, people are waiting for this neighborhood to shift, and you know what shifting means, before they do something about it. So we're here today to say that the mayor and that the council people need to have the courage to do what is right for the people of Deanwood. Need to have the courage to build a budget for all. We know that there is pressure from those in the city who already have what they want. But they serve not at the behest of those people alone. They serve for more than those who are part of the donor class. They serve for every citizen in the district. And the pain that you hear today is real, and we have the resources to address it. We don't want to hear that the money is not there. We will not be denied or delayed or bamboozled by a scarcity mindset. It is time to act swiftly and boldly. Now, there's an unprecedented amount of money coming with the Inflation Reduction Act. And the council has a once-in-a-generation opportunity to invest in building healthier, more livable communities that prioritize affordability and safety. But the council must have the backbone, the courage to do it. And voters must be organized to help them maintain their spines. We have to make sure that the government agencies don't squander this by not communicating and by not coordinating. We stand to say that a shrunken budget and the lack of coordination will leave us unequipped to take advantage of the money that is soon to flow. And we want to be careful that the money that is flowing goes to those of us who need it the most and not to those who have the relationships to get the money to already flow into pockets that are overflowing with money, power, and influence. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build healthier, more livable communities that are affordable and safe. We can take advantage of $60 million to get in these homes efficient appliances like heat pumps and induction stoves to assist with energy efficient upgrades and weatherization. We can make sure that our neighbors are not nailed on crosses of vacant homes where there are problems like we heard from the homeowner who has been kind enough to allow us to meet in her very yard. These measures can help black residents to afford the cost of home repairs, their monthly utility bills, and the overall cost of living in Washington, D.C. Black homeowners struggle because emergency repairs and increasing tax bills can take away from them the opportunity to stay in the city that they have sacrificed for generations to make great. I want to address the lawsuit that is facing the district around the language of being particularly focused on making sure that black people can stay in our homes and can buy homes in the district. You know, this is very strange to me that we make this a legal issue today in a nation that had no problem taking land from natives in the West, literally stealing their land and repopulating European immigrants in the 1830s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, giving them the land of others because they were white, because they were European, and giving them the money to build universities to make sure that they could indeed grow and prosper from the land. The University of Nebraska, the universities of Ohio, these are land grant institutions that the government funded when it took land from natives and repopulated white people in the name of manifest destiny. No problem using race to give indigenous land to white people. And then when you move to the FHA, to make sure that the suburbs were built, they took tax dollars from all of us to create what we call the suburbs from my grandparents who could not have lived in Levittown. They took our money and made sure that white people could build the suburbs. They cut black people out of the funding. In D.C., they took Fort Reno, land that belonged to black people, moved them off of it because white people were never a problem talking about that. But a problem today talking about black home ownership. And this is an ahistorical legal maneuver to keep power where it is, and we won't stand for it. We are not ignorant to what has happened in the past. You took indigenous land, you took black land, you gave it to white people. Now it's time to use the power of public policy, the power of being elected to make right what is wrong in this nation. If you're not going to do what's right, why were you elected in the first place? To preside over injustice? To preside over what we've already seen? Use your power to do what is right in this nation. Let us do right by these citizens in Deanwood and by all of those who have helped to make Washington an amazing city but have been cut out of its prosperity. It's time to do what's right, and it's time to build a budget for all of us. We can do it. We demand that it be done.
You ready to start preaching now?
No. Don't know how to do it.
Thank you for being here. Charlene, thank you once again for allowing us to be on your property to share these critical messages. To the press and anybody else, we would like to invite you to upcoming budget events. We have one with Councilmember Robert White on April 11th, and with our Ward 2 Councilmember Brooke Pinto on May 2nd around public safety. You are, of course, invited to be there with our representatives and hundreds of our friends who have been organizing around precisely the issues that you have heard about this morning.